Alright, my update to the garden. Bud. The lower part here got tons and tons of vines, all sorts of things that have gone through my vines. I've had some mildew. It's been tough to get rid of. I'm gonna have to treat again. But most of the vines are hanging in. Along on this, all the spaghetti squash has grown up onto my fencing and whatnot. All sorts of little ferns have come up where I haven't mowed because I've got a ton of wild onions and all my big pumpkins growing out here. Got all these big vines coming through. They're pretty slick. I got one little pumpkin that's starting off down here, and I've got all these onions coming up, and they've already bloomed, and a lot of them are coming out, and they've got, let me see if I can see them. Yeah, they've got these little seed pods, and once these come open and dried out just enough, I don't know if this is gonna focus, but anyways, when the scapes flower and then they germinate, I get these seed pods. I grab those off and pocket those so I can keep those going. And I haven't been pulling any scapes, but I can come through and snip those a little bit later too. Can cook those, cook with them, kind of like a green onions deal. Chop them up and all that. All my white mildew problems started in here because the pumpkins came through. When the big pumpkin vines came through, they had these huge leaves, and there was 10 plants growing out of this single area, and they held all the humidity and everything, all the moisture in, before it got real rainy, and then it continued to rain. I actually haven't watered in here in almost 2 weeks just because there's been rain and it's been so humid. So things have been just kind of going on their own. Over here's another guy coming. These are some of the big ones. I forget the name of the pumpkins. I don't know, he might have something. This one might have something on him that keeps him from getting any bigger. But yeah, I really only have 10 big pumpkin plants. I don't think there's any mini pumpkin plants still going. Over here's my biggest one, hiding under there. I've even got a little plank of wood under there. I go through and try to put a plank of wood under each one so the underside doesn't get wet and it doesn't get as attacked by insects and little buggies going through. Here's another offshoot. So over in there was the primary shoots, and a lot of those would come off this way, and I think some of the secondaries is where I actually I'm getting pumpkins. So that's a secondary run there. And so I'm trying to spot tertiaries near the pumpkins and cut those off. I still haven't got any tomatoes blooming. I have some flowers, but all of these tomatoes here just keep growing out. And I haven't snipped them just like anything in here, I'm just growing it out to see what it does and how it does in here. This big sunflower thing tipped over, but it's mostly alive still. But I've got to probably cut out a lot in here because there's still blackberries in here and some more pumpkins and squash underneath all that, so I don't want them to get starved of any light. But yeah, the backside in there's some pepper plants, and I think those were starting to flower, but see how it goes. Apple trees are still coming up. This one might have gotten a little hit by the sun because, like I said, I haven't watered in here, but it's been wet. But yeah, mostly everything's going just fine. Got to keep mowing little bits here and there. But you can definitely tell there's a difference between my side and the other side. It's kind of like everybody else's stuff. They just mowed in here today, and I just have a big nasty overgrowth. This really makes me want to get a scythe and finally invest in that, because I'll actually, if I keep going with pumpkins, then I want to be able to get things out in between here, even if I get like a little hand scythe or a tiny little homemade one. That'll help a lot, getting a lot of, because these just trap all this humidity in here and it keeps pushing all this mildew out through all of them. But the plants are hanging on. I think that it really prevents or it eats at new leaves. But yeah, fun stuff.